Shut up and sit down.
Welcome back. We are both back from vacation now. Logan 2 weeks ago, myself last week. We were both fully energized, rejuvenated. I'm sure Logan was super excited to be back from Florida into the South Bend winter still, I believe.
Wrong.
I got back from Florida late Sunday night, a 12-hour drive from Louisville to our destination. On the way down there turned into a 14-hour drive from where we were back to Louisville. So the drive back was not great. I missed the entire women's national championship, which I was hoping to be back in time for most of, but didn't get to see any of it. But we're back, and we're happy to be back in our locations and bringing you another episode 61 of No One Asked Us. I'm Craig Choate. That is Logan Lee. Follow us on what was the reaction?
I thought you were changing your name.
Oh, Craig Coyote. I am Craig Coyote. That is Logan Lee. Follow us on our social media. If you're watching on YouTube, it is on the screen. For those listening, I'm at Craig W. Choate. He is at the Logan Lee. We are at No One Asked Us Pod all across social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Our Gmail is nooneaskedus2021@gmail.com. For those of you listening as well that might not want to listen to the full episode, there are chapters in the descriptions. You can jump to whatever section you want to listen to that, and we do really appreciate it. While you're here, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Our numbers are continuing to grow, and we want to keep them growing. We would really appreciate you giving us a like and subscribe and sharing this episode with all your family and friends. Logan has been back from vacation for a while. I just got back. Logan, thanks a lot for the episode last week. It was our most listened to / viewed episode of all time.
Yeah.
And Logan drove the ship. He recorded
Yeah.
it. He edited it. Look at you go.
Proud of me. Pat me on the back. Yeah, that was nuts. Just watching that episode kind of blow up.
Every morning I got a text. Good morning, 250. Next day, good morning, 300.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. So anybody that's, listening to us for the second time, welcome back. I can't guarantee we're going to have, grade A content every single week because, basketball season's coming to an end, but as long as the transfer portal is intact, in a factor, then we'll have basketball stuff to talk about. But yeah, that's kind of nuts just to see. I think I sent you the one text, we had an episode in December. I don't even know that it cracked 20 views. Yeah. And to think that an actual podcast, not like an Illini post-game show, like an actual podcast, full-length show. Granted, it was a little shorter than some normal ones, but still, for that one to be at now over 600, it's kind of crazy to think about where we've been. So, and if you are new here, if you're joining us and just listening to us for the first time or for the second time, thank you, welcome, and please hit that subscribe button. That would help us out a lot because we are close to your first our first milestone.
Yeah,
100
close to 100 subscribers
within reach. So
yeah, we're getting close.
Craig was going to shave his head if we had
he's already done it. I jumped the gun a little bit. For those that are watching on YouTube, you might have noticed we have fully embraced baseball season. We are 2 days away from opening day. Logan is in full Cubs gear, jersey, and on-field cap. I am in full Cardinals jersey and on-field cap. The one difference is I'm wearing the jersey of a player who is still playing on my team. Logan is not. Sorry to bring up a sore subject.
It's all right. My boy Kyle.
Schwarber, not Hendricks.
No, I don't have a Hendricks. That's a good one. No, Kyle Schwarber. I might become a Philly fan just for the year. Just that team, that offense is loaded.
Yeah. So, we're going to talk a lot of baseball here at the end of this episode, but I want to get this out here now while we're talking about him. I don't know if there were any substantiated conversations between the Cardinals and Cubs, but there was a calling for the Cardinals to go after Schwarber. What would you have done if he signed with the St. Louis Cardinals? Would it have been worse than Lester signing with the Cardinals last year? Because I know you loved Lester.
Yeah, it would have been worse. At this point, it's already, he was already on a different team last year.
Yeah.
So I guess so was Lester in that situation, but it would have hurt. It definitely would have hurt. Not that I don't want to see him have success wherever he goes. I just want to be able to like still pull for him wherever he goes. I'm a big Kyle Schwarber fan. I will forever be a big Kyle Schwarber fan, and I hope that he has the absolute most success because I think that he is a great baseball player that just he had some issues, just like a lot of the Cubs did. But so if I had to see him go to the Cardinals and try to, support him from afar in St. Louis, I don't know if I could have done that. I don't know. The Phillies, it's fine. Still in the National League, but it's fine. But I'm very thankful that it's not the Cardinals. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into it. We got basketball to talk about. There is one college football note that we have to talk about, and then baseball, golf, and one NFL football thing that we have on our rundown. But first, moment of the week. What you got? We haven't done this in 2 weeks. We skipped last week to try and get a shorter episode in. But what do you got for moment of the week, if anything?
Kind of like a encompassing thing. One of my favorite things about this time of year with baseball season starting is seeing all the stories of the players that are getting put on the active roster for the first time. All these rookies and things. There's been several of those floating around. Spencer Torkelson for the Tigers was a big one a couple days ago. Julio Rodriguez for the Mariners. Ethan Roberts is a name that most people won't know, but he is a Cubs prospect, a pitcher who has been coming up through the system the last few years. Was a 4th round draft pick, came through South Bend in 2019 when I was still there with the Cubs. Really great guy, really just a really cool, down to earth guy. Already has 2 kids, I think. And he got the word yesterday during their spring training game that he
saw that.
Going to be headed to Chicago on the opening day roster. So they actually caught the moment on camera, on the dugout camera. So you can see that on Twitter. And then they interviewed him afterwards, and you could just see like how just the emotions that was going through, his head and during that time. So that's just really cool just to see that kind of stuff. But for him in particular, somebody that, I think it's, super well or anything, but got to talk to on more than one occasion and just kind of got to know him a little bit. Just really cool story. Like to see those in all sports, but especially with baseball opening day, seeing those stories. That's really cool. I know what yours is good, but yeah, that was mine.
You know what mine's going to be?
I mean, I assume, unless you're going to save it for later in the show.
But... yeah, you don't know what mine's going to be. Okay. I do like what you're talking about, though. With the new CBA and this new, because of the lockout, they changed a bunch of stuff. So we're seeing a bunch of rookies start the year breaking spring training into the big league club instead of waiting a month. So the teams get an extra year of that BS service time.
Not as much manipulation. There's still some of that going on. I think some teams are still doing that. I can think of one guy in particular that I think that's being done with, but yeah, it's O'Neal Cruz with the Pirates.
Okay.
I think I think they're holding on to him at AAA a little too long for no reason at all. The Pirates are going to be absolutely trash. So why not? Like, what's the point?
Well, we can talk about it more later, but I think there are like 7 of the top 10 prospects are breaking camp with the big league club. I think I saw that. That could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But my moment of the week, I'm not going to go with what Logan thinks I'm going to go with. I'm going to save that for when we talk about the Masters later.
Okay.
The U.S. men's national team qualified for the World Cup. We don't talk a lot of soccer on this show, other than when I brag about Chelsea when they're doing good, but they're playing like shit right now. Pardon my French. So I'm not going to talk about them. But yeah, the U.S. men's soccer team qualified for the World Cup. They lost 2-0 to, I think, Costa Rica the other night. But they did have enough points to qualify. So they are in the World Cup in Qatar, however you say it, coming up in November. They're playing it in November and December because it's so hot over there that they have to play it in the winter months. So yeah, they missed the 2018 World Cup. This club has a bunch of kids 25 and younger. So a lot of people are saying this is just like the get your feet wet World Cup. And then 2026 is when they should challenge for advance a couple rounds into the the bracket instead of just into the 16. But yeah, it was good to see the U.S. back in the World Cup. It was so damaging just to be like, the U.S. should not be that far behind in any country, these countries in any sport. Like, there's so much talent in this country. It's just not soccer talent, but it's coming up. So, and then they did have the draw. They had the World Cup draw, and U.S. is in with England, Iran, I think, and then they have to wait to see who they play because there's one more playoff in June, and the winner of that, it's like Wales, Scotland, and Ukraine. So Scotland and Ukraine play, and the winner of that plays Wales, and then the winner of Wales and the winner of Scotland, Ukraine play, and then that winner goes to the World Cup. If Wales wins, all four countries in that group will be ranked in the top 25 or top 21 of the FIFA rankings. So it is not an easy path, but the U.S. is back in the World Cup, and I'm happy to see.
No, not an easy path, and it's never going to be.
Yeah,
you brought up the whole thing about the talent in the U.S., and I mean, I think the talent's there. They just play other sports. That's just the thing about this country is that, yes, it's a growing sport in this country, but like, it's still fourth, at least, probably to most people. Maybe even fifth, depending on what your choice is. So yeah, I mean, I think it's eventually it'll become, there will just be more talent playing that sport in this country, but it's still just not quite there yet. They're still playing other things. And
I think what you can look at too is the amount of guys being sent overseas to play, like Americans in the Premier League or La Liga or Serie A and all that stuff. So there are becoming more and more Americans playing in Europe, which has the best soccer. And that kind of tells you where the game is for the United States. So couple good moment of the weeks. We'll talk about Tiger here in a little bit, because I know that's what Logan thought my moment of the week would be. We are going to jump to question of the week now. We did not go over one of these last week. We asked 2 weeks ago, what's your favorite season? And the numbers surprised me. I'm not going to lie. Fall got the most votes. 39.7% of people said fall, 36.2% said summer, 19 said spring, and 5.2 said winter. What got your vote, Logan?
Well, according to this, no, it was summer.
Summer got your vote?
Yeah. That's mine. I can understand fall. That doesn't really surprise me. That many people, I mean, it's the cooler weather, it's football season. I mean, that to me that makes sense. I think, I figured that would be the 1-2, what actually came out on top, probably a toss up, and it was close. So, but yeah, that doesn't really shock me. I think that makes a lot of sense. Not surprised at all that winter is fourth.
No,
but yeah, I'm team summer.
And team spring. I voted for spring. Yeah. I was bouncing between spring and fall, and I guess it kind of depends on where you live. Summer, I know it's where we live, it never got miserably hot, but it's still, there's that 2 week, 4 week stretch where it's just miserable. So I was bouncing between spring and fall between my top two, and I went with spring. I like this time of year specifically, baseball starting, basketball wrapping up, golf in full swing already. So I went with spring.
I love spring. Don't get me wrong. I'm a spring baby. So
yeah, I would go spring, fall, summer, winter. You would go summer, fall, spring, winter?
Summer, spring, fall. Summer, spring, fall, winter would be my order.
So we both.
But I'm not surprised by the order. I figured fall would be more people's, but it's not mine necessarily. But
yeah, yep. We are moving to baseball now with our question of the week for this coming week, and simply because we are NL Central guys, we are asking who wins the NL Central in 2022. We're going to give Brewers, Cardinals, and Cubs their own option, and Reds and Pirates we're going to throw you together because I don't think anyone realistically thinks those two teams are going to win. So you're going to take up that fourth spot by yourself. We'll talk about our predictions and what we think of the upcoming baseball season.
Do you
coming
think
up in a little bit?
Do you think if the Reds and Pirates join teams that they could win the division?
Yeah, probably.
Do you think there's enough?
Yeah.
Seriously though, do you think there's enough? Do you think there's enough talent between those two rosters? I know the NL Central is not particularly strong, but is there even enough talent on those two rosters to actually win the division if they were one team? I'm not even sure I could tell you. At this point,
There might not be.
The Reds have chipped off most everybody on their roster.
Yeah,
and
there might not be.
Jonathan India, who is Rookie of the Year candidate. Joey Votto's still there. Mike Moustakas is still there.
Yeah.
Nick Senzel. I mean, and the Pirates.
Tucker Barnhart's not there anymore either, is he?
Tucker Barnhart. Nope, he's in Detroit.
Yeah, crazy. Huh. All right, let's move on. We are going to recap the Final Four. The Kansas Jayhawks took down the North Carolina Tar Heels. The 8-seed Tar Heels made it to the Final Four, the championship game. Kansas wins 72-69 on Monday night. Surprisingly, I think we both kept our eyes open until one shining moment played, but
I
barely
dozed off a couple times. I will not lie about that. Both in the first half and the second half.
Yeah.
But I was up for most of the game at least.
Yeah, 9:20 Eastern time tip for a title game is just stupidity at its finest. But that's neither here nor there. Kansas is your champion. I think they probably deserve it. I think they played pretty well throughout the entire tournament. I think they were probably ranked in the top 10 the entire season. They were never ranked number one. It's 3 years in a row that the champion has, or 3 tournaments in a row, because there was no tournament in 2020. 3 champions in a row that were never ranked number one in the AP poll throughout the season. So that's an interesting little tidbit I saw this afternoon. Overall, though, the tournament was great. The NCAA tournament is always great, but I feel like this wasn't one of the better tournaments. There were some storylines, St. Peter's making it to the Elite Eight was great. North Carolina as an 8 seed making the Final Four was cool. Coach K making the Final Four and then losing again to North Carolina in the Final Four, the first 2 times those schools ever met in the tournament. But I don't know that anything's going to stick out to me other than that. Like, there were no moments. I feel like there was no buzzer beater. There was no Ali Farokhmanesh. There was no Chris Jenkins winning the title for Villanova. There just wasn't a moment for me that cemented it. And during the game, I was like, man, this run North Carolina went on is going to be, I think, kind of remembered as the thing from this tournament, because one, North Carolina is rarely an 8 seed. They almost missed the tournament, so they're rarely in that situation. But for them to be in that situation and then make the Final Four from there with the first year coach, I don't know. I just thought of that. And then I was like, wait, no, a 15 seed went to the Elite Eight. That's how this tournament's going to be remembered. So I don't know if you feel the same way. I just felt like it was great because it's the tournament and everyone loves the tournament, but it wasn't the best tournament I've ever seen.
No, it wasn't. I understand what you're saying. I know you've been hung up on the no buzzer beater thing, which is fair. For as many games as there are to have not been a buzzer beater is kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, it was probably, not the most memorable tournament as a whole. Yeah, the thing that will be remembered is St. Peter's going to the Elite Eight. I know you were against them making it to the Elite Eight, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. I mean, the Carolina thing, yeah, they were an 8 seed, but they're also Carolina. So right. I don't know. I don't know that people are going to look back on this tournament bracket years from now and see Carolina and be all that shocked. Like, oh yeah,
they'll be more shocked that they were an 8 seed than them making the Final Four. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it was. It didn't help that it was a blue blood Final Four. They not that they were bad games or anything, but
Duke Carolina was one of the best games.
It was a
I've
great
seen
game.
in a long time.
Duke Carolina was a tremendous basketball game.
So obviously we were in Florida. We went to Orlando Friday and Saturday to hang out with some former coworkers and friends down in Orlando. And we went to downtown Orlando and we went to 3 different bars and none of them were sports bars. So I didn't have any TVs around me all night. we left in between games. So I saw the Villanova Kansas game, but for the Duke UNC game, which is like one of the most highly anticipated tournament games ever, I was like, all right, I'm just going to follow the score for the first half. And if it's close, I'll turn on the March Madness Live app and watch it on my phone. So we went to the final bar we were at with like 6 minutes left in the game. And so I pulled it up on my phone and I'm watching it. And Christy's watching over my shoulder and she taps me on my shoulder and she just points. And from her view, I was watching the game standing next to a table. The table next to me had the phone propped up on the centerpiece watching the game. The table next to them had a phone watching the game. And there were two more past them. And every single table had the March Madness app watching the phone. We were like, we should just all like cuddle around one. But it was funny. Go ahead.
No, I was thinking about you when I knew you were out that night. You had sent at least a picture or two that I had seen. You had posted somewhere.
Yeah.
It didn't look like there were many TVs around wherever you were. So
no,
you were in my thoughts and prayers. Yeah, that was a tremendous basketball game. Carolina Duke was absolutely as advertised. And we will never get another game like that. We will never get another moment like that game. So if this tournament's going to be remembered for anything, it's going to be the Duke Carolina Final Four and Coach K's last game.
Yep.
And the St. Peter's run. I think that's what this tournament will be remembered for, which is fine. I don't think that any of those are bad things. But yeah, in terms of, ranking every tournament for memorableness, is that a word?
Memorability.
Sure, it might be lower, but I think it's based on you, like, personally. So, if you're somebody that went to St. Peter's or you're a St. Peter's fan, naturally this is going to be like
there are those people.
So
those people exist.
I mean, it's a school, so some people had to go to it. So I think that it's everybody's gonna have their own opinion on it, but I see where you're coming from, and I don't disagree with you. I think it had its moments, and we move on to the next one. Let's just be thankful that we had it and that it wasn't all in one. Granted, I'm sure the Indianapolis thing was fine last year, but it felt normal seeing that championship game full at the whatever it's called now, down in New Orleans, and like that was great.
Caesars Superdome.
Is that what it is now?
Caesars, yeah.
Okay. I can't keep up. I'm usually pretty good at that stuff, but I feel like I can't keep up with it anymore. So those are my thoughts.
I can't find his. I can't find the Twitter I'm looking for. But anyways, the question is, now that Kansas has won, and I think you probably know where I'm going with this, and because I tweeted it right after the game, I'm sure you saw it. How long until the banner comes down, if ever?
My response to that tweet was going to be that the banner has to go up first.
That's a good point.
I mean, clearly, yeah, there's some allegations going on there with that program. I don't know.
5 level 1 violations.
Yeah, that's rough.
And no punishment yet. But the saving grace for this team is those incidents were years ago. So will this team get punished? Probably not. So this banner will probably stay.
Well, the NCAA has done dumber things.
That's true. That's true.
Maybe.
All right. There's that.
Before we move on, I do have one thing I want to drop on you here.
There is something else. Okay, but go ahead. You go first.
Oh, well, no, you go first because I want to
end
with this.
So I do a square pool every year.
Yeah, I'm
not every year. This is my second year doing it, and I crunched some numbers today. So there are 100 spots, 47 squares of the 100 hit at least once. It's a pretty good number, right?
Sure,
pretty good number. 44 people won at least one time, because there are people that get multiple squares, and there are squares that hit multiple times. 21 people won at least their money back. And the most common squares were winning score 4, losing score 3, winning score 8, losing score 6, winning score 3, losing score 6. Each of those hit 3 times. I thought those are pretty good stats for you get, there's 100 spots on the board. almost half of the squares hit at least once. I thought that was pretty good.
We're gonna hear from my mother.
Oh yeah, my parents didn't win anything.
My mom's not happy. I think she got something in her head that I told her that she was going to win money. All I said was that you could win money. That I won money last year. That's all I said, mother. I'm sorry that you're bitter about it.
So those listening, I will do it again next year. I will tweet it out. I'm trying to that was my pitch for next year, that there is good income coming. You just got to pick the right square. So that's that. But go ahead.
All right. I didn't really plan for this. I didn't want to spring this on you, but I'm just going to do it now.
Oh gosh.
Are 5 things. No.
Okay.
5 things that you would change about college basketball right now.
Oh gosh.
5 things.
Okay. And I've said this for a long time, and I don't know if I've ever vocalized it to you or anyone.
Okay.
And I think you can do it at most levels, but it bothers me. I hate that Craig hates everything. I hate that once the ball crosses half court, if it goes out of bounds, you can inbound it on the other side. I think once it crosses half court, you shouldn't be able to inbound it on that side of half court. I know Trent Frazier does all the time. Like if there's a side out right in front of the bench, he'll just sprint to the other side of the court. So he's wide open. They get it inbound and come in. I hate that rule. I wish once it crossed half court, you can't inbound the ball in the backcourt. That's number
good
one. That might not be number one, but that's something that I've never vocalized and think should change.
Okay.
I mean, I would need time to think about this. I don't know.
I mean, you've talked about other things on this show, so I thought you might be able to come up with this pretty quickly.
I mean, I think coming off of the tournament, and I thought it again last night, I love Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith. I think they're great, but I want people who cover college basketball throughout the year covering the tournament.
Okay.
I know to a certain extent basketball is basketball, and Charles and Kenny are great basketball voices and minds, so they understand the game. But it just becomes apparent when Charles Barkley can't pronounce guys' names or doesn't know where this guy's from or anything like that, where you have Jay Billis or Dick Vitale or whoever, Jason Benetti, Robbie Hummel, who are experts in this sport, sitting at home not doing anything. Although I think some of them do radio for the tournament. They do Westwood 1, but those are the 2 off the top of my head, and I know that one's the one that you were fishing for.
No, not necessarily. We've already talked about that one. I don't know why. I was in the car most of the day today, so I was just thinking about some of this stuff. For me, for a few things that come to mind, let's get rid of halves. Let's just go to quarters. It's the only level of basketball anywhere that still plays with halves. I think it's dumb. Let's just be able to reset team fouls and play with quarters.
I have asked Brad Underwood about that. He was at a Illinois women's game that I was covering there, getting highlights, and he sat next, like 2 seats down from where I was shooting from, because we would shoot women's games from like different spots because there's obviously not as many people there. We can just kind of walk around, and so I was up a little bit, like in between the 100 and 200 level, sitting in a chair, and he sat next to me, and we just kind of BS'd a little bit. And I asked him about quarters. Now, this was 3 or 4 years ago, so obviously things can change. But he said it'll never happen, and he just looked at me and did this with the money sign, because they would lose a media timeout each half. Like they would lose multiple media timeouts.
They can surely find a way to make that work.
That's what he said.
I mean, I get that. I mean, I understand the timeouts. I get what he means by that. And I'm sure there is some truth to that, but you think that they could figure out how to do that. Either way, that would be my number 1. My number 2, and I don't know that, again, this is also a money thing, so I don't know that it's ever actually going to change. I don't really want to be watching these games played in gigantic football stadiums.
Yep, I'm with you there.
Like, it just takes away from it. Like, I understand why you can fit more people and you make more money. Easy.
69,423.
That's an easy answer. That's why, and it's never going to happen. But like, it was kind of more enjoyable to watch the women's championship knowing that it was being played in an actual basketball arena. Yeah. Granted, they had, a third of the amount of people there, but it was still full. And like, it actually just feels like a basketball arena. I don't know. I just don't like that. My third thing, just because it's timely and whatever, everybody and their mother was always obviously complaining about this last night, but the 9:20 start time again is stupid ridiculous. I had one more thing too that I was going to mention, but I don't remember what it was.
We came up with 5 collectively.
That's good.
So,
look at us.
So there's our 5. So that puts a bow on the college basketball season. We are going to touch on some Illini stuff now. We just mentioned Brad Underwood. He did receive an extension. He did not accept the job at Kansas State, just to drill that into everyone's head. He received an extension, and this is just coming straight from the U of I release on their website. The new agreement will keep Underwood on a 6-year contract through 2028, which he got an extension last year as well. So they're just continuing that 6-year window, because you don't want to sign him for any longer, because then you get tied into more money. Underwood's proposed contract calls for an annual $300,000 increase in base compensation and a $200,000 increase in the annual retention bonus. It is fully guaranteed through the next 4 seasons, with Underwood's buyout, what he would owe the university to accept employment elsewhere increasing as well. So if anyone wants to come and poach Brad Underwood, they are going to have to pay more and more money each year to get him away from Illinois. I think that was probably expected, just because I know none of us believed that he would leave for the jobs that he was linked to, but his name was being brought up with some jobs that were open. So Josh gets out in front of it, gives him an extension, gives him a raise, and ups his buyout. So people might stop calling and try and keep Brad in Champaign for a little bit longer. So,
yeah, I mean, I think it keeps Brad here, and I think the only schools that would potentially pull him away are the big boys that can afford to do it. And I don't know where those vacancies are going to be in the near future. So not to say that it's 100% that he's locked into Illinois for the rest of his career, but Josh is doing as much as he can to make sure that happens. So I'm glad that he's here. I've really liked having Brad Underwood as the coach for Illinois. I think he has done tremendous things for this program. I am excited to see what else he can do now that they have the recent success. They brought the program back up to where it should be as a perennial Big Ten powerhouse. You obviously want the tournament success, but that will come. I'm happy for him, happy for the program. I know there are some negative people out there that don't like it. I don't understand it. Some people just seem to be miserable. But it's good for Illinois, good for Josh Whitman. It's good for Brad, good for everybody. Now they just got to build off what they've done the last few years.
Yeah. So the thing you got to worry about with any coach is the alma mater. And Brad, correct. Theoretically, they might have talked. I don't know if they did or not. They might have talked. Yeah, but I don't think anyone believed he was going to go there. So Illinois just fought off the alma mater. So there's that. So what kind of jobs would lure Brad Underwood? You have the Blue Bloods, who we discussed last week, the 6 Blue Bloods who actually wear blue. Kansas. I'm reading off a list, and that was the first one I saw. Kansas, UCLA, Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky. Kentucky, Calipari, set in stone. North Carolina, Hubert Davis, first year, took him to the Final Four. Not going to open. Duke, Coach K's gone, already named John Shire. UCLA, Mick Cronin, went to the Final Four. New coach a couple years ago, not going anywhere. Kansas, Bill Self, just won a national title, not going anywhere. Villanova, Jay Wright, might go somewhere if these sanctions come down too hard. Well, good point.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
I was going to say. I didn't want to piss off any Illinois fans, but have to.
That's a good thought, actually.
Think about that one for a second.
That is a good thought. Villanova's got Jay Wright. That's a person I could see going to a different blue blood, because Villanova's a new blue blood. If for some reason one of the other ones open, do you think Jay Wright would jump from Villanova?
Maybe. Jay Wright also seems to me like a guy that could eventually jump to the NBA.
That's true too.
If you want to know because that's the other part of this too. The NBA is another level of this. The NBA is not for everybody. And it's not everybody's natural next step up. But I think that there are some people out there that might take that opportunity. I'm not suggesting that Jay Wright will, or that he's even been rumored to. But that's just somebody that I could just see doing it. But just something to keep in mind. Because to answer your question, I mean, yes, in theory he could, if the opportunity presented itself, go to another blue blood. But yeah, I mean, I could see in his case, I could see the NBA maybe being an option, but I'm going to guess he never leaves Villanova. It'd be my actual.
I'm just going off a list of CBS. They did an article, The Greatest College Basketball Programs. This was written in 2020, so pretty recent. They got Louisville on here, just hired a new coach. They're not going to need anybody for at least 5 years. Indiana is number 7. Mike Woodson, not going to go anywhere. Plus, I don't know that you would leave Illinois for Indiana. Like, that's just a weird move.
Now. Yeah.
They got UConn at number 8. Is it a better job? I mean, it probably is historically. The next one on the list here, Syracuse is right there at 11. Boeheim's going to call it quits pretty soon. Is that somewhere? I mean, we're just talking theoretics here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that happening.
They have Illinois as the 15th, and this was written 2 years ago, before the 2020 season, where Illinois would have made their first tournament. They have Illinois at 15. So Illinois is the 15th best program in the country. There are only 1 or 2 jobs ahead of Illinois that a coach might leave Illinois for.
This may be just like totally off base, and I might be like totally ridiculed for this. I don't see Brad going anywhere that's not west or south.
Yep. I thought the same thing. That's why I kind of quaffed it.
I don't know
UConn
why.
And Syracuse. It just doesn't seem like that's a fit for him.
No, it doesn't. Like, and I could be totally off on that. But he's also like, how old is he? Like, he's not.
It's like 58, I think. Yeah.
I'm not saying that he's close to retiring, but like, I don't think he's got a lot of steps left in him. It's a lot of stops left in him.
I think we both hope, and it's likely that Illinois could be his last stop. And he said that.
Wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I just, for whatever reason, he just doesn't give me those vibes. I don't see him. I don't see him going east. So if he's going to go anywhere, I don't think he will at this point, but yeah, I would say maybe somewhere west or south, but I don't know what that program is. I don't know. But I don't know. And the only reason that I mentioned his name with the whole Florida thing a week or two ago was just because that's a big name school. Yeah. You know, they have like the money.
Texas,
they have the money to do it. It's not
SEC
so much
schools.
Right. It's not so much that it's a powerhouse basketball program. I mean, yeah, they had a couple good teams 10 years ago, back to back or whatever. But they're not a basketball powerhouse, but they have money. It's an SEC school. So like, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be somebody that has the money to do it. So that's the only reason I hadn't really read that or anything. But of all the openings that were open, of all the jobs that were open, other than Kansas State, for the obvious reason of going home, Florida was just the one that just kind of stuck out to me. And LSU kind of too, but LSU also had the sanctions and everything going around with that program. Yeah. So I didn't think that was going to be the move. But that's the only reason I really brought up Florida. Florida's really one of the only schools that has had like recent success with both sports, like consistent. Like they haven't been like great at either one of the last like 10 or so years, but like when you think about it, like the really good football schools are not the really good basketball schools.
Yeah, it's rare.
Florida is rare. Kind of, not right now really, but
Baylor right now.
Baylor, yes. Baylor would be towards the top. Yeah, for sure. Michigan recently would be towards the top of that list too. But
yeah, I think as well, if any of the historically blue blood programs do open up for any reason, I think there are other guys that those programs might target before Brad Underwood.
I agree.
Jay Wright has won 2 national championships. Scott Drew has won a national championship at Baylor, and then the young up and comers. So, if it does happen, Logan Lee is to thank for speaking Brad Underwood to Kansas in existence when those sanctions come down.
I I hadn't really been thinking about that. Like that honestly
until this moment.
That honestly hasn't crossed my mind until you brought it up. I'm thinking like, oh wait.
Man, if Illinois loses their 2 head coaches,
I don't think it's happening for the record, but
the other men's basketball news, another player hit the portal. Omar Payne is in the transfer portal. That's something that started picking up some steam not long after the season ended because he came in here expecting Kofi to be gone. And Kofi obviously came back, and Payne just never really did anything to impress other than a couple monster dunks. He was a great motor, a great rebounder, great shot blocker, and a great dunker, but his skill set is lacking in the Big Ten. So Omar Payne is in the portal. That is, as of now, as of recording on Tuesday evening, that is the only other change, I believe. Am I missing anything?
No. As of right now, that's the only change. Since
the only change.
Bello and Payne are the only ones to announce anything.
Logan has a running picture with X's over everyone that's gone. So so he's keeping track. Yes. They continue to probe the portal for replacements because, like Logan said, there are some openings. We're still waiting to hear the decisions on Austin Hutcherson and Jacob Grandison. If they are coming back, they each have eligibility remaining.
And Kofi.
Kofi's decision, April 24th is his deadline. Once if he enters his name in the NBA, he cannot pull his name out. So if he enters the draft this season, he is going professional. He will not be at Illinois anymore. The talk on Coleman Hawkins seems to be positive for him coming back. I've seen a lot of people posting on Twitter that they've seen him around campus still. He's been commenting on some social media posts with orange and blue emojis, specifically Sky Clark, who Illinois is recruiting heavily, and one of the favorites, I believe, to land Sky Clark, point guard, who just decommitted from Kentucky a couple months ago. So wheels continue to spin. Don't know what the roster is going to look like next year. Right now, I think the only set in stone things are the 3 freshmen, Rogers, Harris, and Epps. Goody and Melendez seem to be on board, but there is some smoke around one of those that things could happen. But we're not going to talk about smoke until we hear anything permanent. So we will keep you updated. Anything else, Illini?
Well, no, the deadline to pull out, the deadline to put their name into the portal and get the free, whatever, you don't lose the eligibility, is
free transfer
May 1st.
May 1st. Right? Yep.
So we have a little less than a month for that. My thing is, I feel like if they were going to transfer, they would have already transferred some of these guys. Now, some of them are waiting on to see what else happens. And I can understand that. But for the ones that we figured to be involved heavily in the team last year, if they haven't announced that if they haven't entered the portal now, I just don't know.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, Illinois season's been done for 2 weeks now.
Yeah. So. Like the Kofi decision, the Grandison decision, like I understand those, and some of the other ones like Pajimski, like I understand his decision, but like Melendez and Goody and Coleman Hawkins, I just feel like they know their place. If they want to leave, they'll leave. But I feel like they would have already made that move by now. So that's the good thing. I could be wrong, but that's kind of where I stand on it.
The good thing this year, as opposed to last year and last 2 years, is, we had the Io and Kofi that we had to wait until late June to see if they kept their name in the draft, because that's when the withdrawal date from the draft was.
Right.
And so we were like, all right, if Kofi and Io both keep their name in the draft, what's Illinois going to do? They're going to get the scraps from this transfer portal, because these guys committed in May when Illinois had to wait to see if Io and Kofi were going to go. The good thing is the deadlines for Illinois this year. They're going to know by the end of April what they're going to have open, what kind of scholarships they're going to have to fill, instead of the end of June, because of that NBA deadline and the free transfer deadline being May 1st. They're going to know May 1st.
Yeah.
Likely what their roster is going to be like, or who they have coming back, and then they can go fill the roster with the transfers that are out there still.
Yeah. That reminded me. I remember what my other thing was. I would change my college basketball. I would put portal. Some sort of, basically say, if you have to stay at your school for 3 semesters or
Do
something.
you work with Josh Whitman?
No,
Because that's what he said on WDWS last week.
No, I didn't hear that. I have seen other people mention that too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I read something, might have been even him. Who knows? I think that's true though. I think they need to do something about that because whether that's 2 years, whatever, I think something needs to make, so that players are enticed to stick around a little longer.
You have to qualify to get the free transfer.
Correct.
You have to be at your first institution for 2, 3, 4 semesters. And if you're there and you decide to transfer, then it's free. But if you come in and you're there for a semester and you're like, no, I don't like it, or this place sucks, then you have to sit out the year, which that's what Whitman said in an interview. I think it was WDWS last week, but he also said,
I probably did read that, him mentioning that. Yeah.
He also said in the same interview that he doesn't think it's going to happen because it's like the whole, the ship's already sailed. They've already got the free transfer rule. It's hard to get the toothpaste back in the tube stuff. So
yeah. I mean, he would know more than I do. I don't know that I totally agree with that. I think that this is still a very free moving process and they could probably change that. But anyway, that's my other thought.
Sticking with basketball, moving to the women's side, South Carolina wins the women's national tournament over UConn, 64-49. Like I said, I was hoping to get back from vacation in time to at least catch the second half of this game, but we got caught up. So I think I turned on the TV as South Carolina was either getting the trophy or cutting the net or something. So I just missed it, but we did listen to most of it on the radio on the way in. I meant to look him up because me and Chrissy were both really impressed with the play-by-play radio guy for the tournament. I don't remember his name. I think his first name was Lee something, but I don't remember. I think if I heard it correctly, that they were wire to wire number 1 in the rankings.
That sounds right.
I think they were ranked number 1 the entire season. Yeah. Aaliyah Boston was the Naismith Player of the Year. Best player on that team. Destiny Henderson scored 26 points in the championship game. And they had an Illinois girl on that team, Bree Beal. They kept talking about how she's not an offensive threat, but she's just a consistent defender and makes the smart play. I think she's a junior. For South Carolina. So there's that. First time ever that Gino Auriemma has lost a national championship game. He is now 11-1 in title games. I think I had them in my bracket. I fill out a women's bracket every year. I actually filled out 2 this year. I had I had Louisville beating Stanford in 1, and I had South Carolina beating NC State maybe in the other. I can't remember. But I did have UConn. Or no, it was UConn. I had Stanford beating whatever it was. I had UConn in a championship game. But they were a 2 seed, which was unlikely. But I watched more of the women's tournament this year than I normally do, probably because living here in Louisville, the team is really good. They were 1 seed, so I had a little bit of invested interest in it. But entertaining basketball. Good women's basketball is just as fun to watch as men's basketball at times, if the teams are good.
100% agree with you. It was a lot of fun to watch. I didn't watch probably as much as you tournament wide, but I watched both Final Four games. I watched the entire championship game. Well, I watched part of it. I was also watching the Grammys. But it was a lot of fun. That South Carolina team is really good. UConn obviously is talented. They're UConn. They have one of the best players in the country, but South Carolina was far and away the better team that entire game. They controlled it from the get-go. And UConn trailed for, I think, almost the entire game, if not the entire thing. So, kudos to them. That's a good team. They got a good thing going there, and it was a lot of fun to watch this year. Absolutely. Hopefully, Illinois women's basketball can be back into some of these conversations. Not, like best team in the country conversation, but at least like in the talk to make the tournament. That'd be cool.
Yeah. While we're talking about that, and it kind of segues, Danville's own Ncaa Peoples is in the transfer portal. She has announced that she is leaving Notre Dame. Obviously, it doesn't get the kind of coverage that men do. So I don't know what schools she's been in contact with. I don't know where she wants to go. or who she's talked to or where she or who has talked to her or anything. But it would be awesome if Illinois could pull Ncaa back home and kind of lead a resurgence. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think all of Vermilion County, all of Champaign County, all of Central Illinois would love to see it. But no offense to Illinois and Shauna Green in that program, but she's probably better than Illinois.
She is.
I don't think she needs to go to
She
Illinois,
is.
but it would be cool.
Yeah. Notre Dame had 3 girls all transfer out. 2 of them, Ncaa and Sam Brunell, came in together.
Yeah.
Same recruiting class. They both transferred out. I think all 3 of them, the other girl too that transferred, I know for Sam and for Ncaa that they both had gotten pretty good minutes the first couple of years. And then this year their minutes dwindled down a little bit. Had some other girls come in and got more playing time and things. So that was probably the reason as to why. But I agree with you. I think she's probably better than what that program is right now. Maybe one day you can get that type of player back. But I think she'll end up going somewhere else. That's an actual contender, and she'll have a good shot to probably play in the tournament again for her last 2 seasons.
2
seasons.
Yep.
Yeah.
2. Yep. That makes sense. And SIU hired the replacement. This is Logan's realm. Kelly Bond White. I believe she came from Texas A&M. Is that right?
Yes. Texas A&M. She was a longtime assistant at Texas A&M. Illinois grad. She played for Teresa Grentz. I remember her. I remember that name, Kelly Bond, from when I was growing up. We would go over to women's games, not like all the time, but like we would go for, I think our youth basketball, like we would just go over on like a Sunday. They would just buy a bunch of tickets and do that. So like I remember her name at least from when she played at Illinois. And Cindy Stein was one of the assistants that brought her to Illinois. And now she's replacing Cindy Stein at Southern. So that her name was mentioned. I had heard her name mentioned a couple times, a couple things I read as a possibility for the Illinois job. Not really like a possibility, but just on a list. And it makes sense. Obviously she was from Illinois, but when that went to Shauna, then, I don't know the whole story. I don't know who was interested in what and where and when and why. But yeah, I think it's a good get for Southern. I think it's somebody that has been in the business for a long time, never been a head coach. I don't believe. I think she's always been an assistant, but a high level assistant at a high level program. Somebody with Illinois connections. I think it makes a lot of sense. She's taken over a program that just won the conference, but they're not going to be returning much. I think most of their points are leaving. And I think most of their points were only there because they got the 5th year of eligibility. So it was a very old team that Southern had this past year for Cindy Stein in her last season that won the Valley. So it'll be a different look for Kelly Bond White. But I think it's a good hire for the Salukis for sure.
Good stuff. Logan sent the link to me and I read the article, and the first thing I said was, another Illinois grad, back-to-back Illinois grads coaching the Salukis. All right. Hope she has some success. Speaking of the Salukis, they have a new member of their football conference. As widely expected, Murray State is joining the Missouri Valley Football Conference in 2023. So this year they will compete in the OVC one last year, and then they will join their other athletic counterparts that are joining the Missouri Valley this year in 2023. So it only makes sense. I don't know what the hang up was and why they didn't do it this year with the other sports. Do you know why?
Well, we have to address the fact that the Valley Football Conference is different from the Missouri Valley
That's
Conference.
True. Yeah,
they are two separate entities.
That's true.
I don't know, but Missouri Valley Football is the SEC of the FCS.
so many abbreviations
the
here.
SEC. The MVFC is the SEC of the FCS. And Murray State is a great basketball school, but they are an awful football program.
Yep.
I shouldn't say awful. They're not a very good football program. And they've been playing in a very bad football conference. Well, not very bad. They've had good teams. Regardless, I don't know that was the holdup. But you'd have to assume that for schools like North Dakota State and South Dakota State and South Dakota, and these schools that are continually, constantly in the hunt for, FCS championship. I don't know that it helps them to add a 12th team that's not very good. I don't know that that's really what they want. So I'm just speculating here that there could have been a holdup with that. But I think the big thing is, obviously, as I said, it's two separate conferences. They do function out of the same office building, I believe. And they do share somewhat of a name, but they are run totally differently. So that's probably where a lot of it was, but I'm sure the OVC was ready to get rid of them since they were getting rid of them for every other sport. They just needed to find a new home. So yes, the Valley is the one that makes the most sense geographically, and because that's where their new conference is. But I think for a couple different reasons, it was probably a slower process to get them into that conference. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do though, because I don't know if they've announced what they're going to do with like the schedule or whatever, because it's 12 teams now in that conference for football. But like, if you do it geographically, like East West, you can make sense geographically to do it, split it up that way. But that West, I mean, that's all the Dakotas, and like, that's where everything is.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I mean, that's kind of like the Big Ten a little bit. Most of the talent is in the East. Yeah. Whereas the MVFC, most of the talent would be in the West. So kind of one of those situations. But yeah, Murray State joining the Missouri Valley Football Conference now. For 2013, or 2023. Yeah,
I just saw a tweet that tweeted out the map of the schools, and now I saw it earlier today. Now I can't find it, and I have no idea who would have tweeted it. So
I can find it.
Neither here nor there, I guess.
I remember.
Was it FCS football or something like that? No. FCS football. Yep. Oh yeah, here it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you go east-west, you'd have North Dakota State, South Dakota State, UNI, and probably Western Illinois or Missouri State.
Yeah.
And then, you'd have Youngstown, Illinois State, Indiana State, SIU, Murray State, and then either Western or Missouri State who didn't go to the West. That's just that's just what's that word? Unequal?
Unfair?
Unfair, unequal,
unbalanced,
lopsided. That's what I was looking for. Lopsided division. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Okay. Let's talk baseball. What do you say?
I got a fantasy baseball draft tonight, Greg.
I do too. I have an auction draft tonight. 8:30.
8:15.
Wait, are we in the same league? What?
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
We used to be. You kicked me out.
No.
No. I left on my own terms. I'm sorry.
And it was hard. It's hard finding fantasy baseball replacements.
Do you need me to come back? So
maybe eventually. Those guys do is bitch. So I'm about to kick some of them out. Baseball starts. Baseball starts on Thursday. Opening day is Thursday. I think, does every team play? I haven't looked at the schedule. I know the Cardinals play at like 4 against the Pirates.
Every team that doesn't get rained out.
Yeah. So excited about that. We were both wearing our gear, ready to go. I don't have too much prepared other than we'll get to predictions on each division and World Series once we wrap it up here. But what do you think about your Cubs? I know you don't have high hopes. They signed Marcus Stroman. They got Seiya Suzuki. No really big other offseason moves other than some small pitching pieces and all that. So not too high expectations on the north side, I don't think.
No, I don't have high expectations, but I will say, and I'm sorry if this offends, it's not a very strong division. The Brewers have a really good pitching rotation, and the Cardinals have a few bats to be worried about. But that's really about it. So while
Should we go over the odds first?
Sure. I haven't even looked at them, but yes.
I got them pulled up right here. Odds to win the Central according to Action Network. The Brewers are minus 180. They have minus 180 odds to win the Central. Cardinals are plus 225. And then the Cubs. So Cardinals are plus 225 at second. The Cubs are plus 1,148 for third. Then the Reds are plus 1373. And the Pirates are plus 4446. So it's a 2-team race, basically, and Action Network is leaning heavily towards the Brewers. So that's where that comes from.
I think the Cubs are hoping that they can contend this year, but I think they're really building for next year and beyond.
Yeah.
I don't expect this to be a long rebuild with what the Cubs are doing. I think they have a good young core already in Chicago that they're comfortable with building around, but they need to see what they can do. Nick Madrigal and Nico Horner have not had a full baseball season yet, either of them, and that is expected to be your middle infield. There still is some concerns about Nico Horner as a shortstop. Does he have the range and the arm to do it? And if he doesn't, what does that mean? Because you just brought in Nick Madrigal. So where you put Nico Horner? Seiya Suzuki is a great signing, but we don't really know a lot about him other than what he did over there. But it sounds great on paper. I love Marcus Stroman. I love Kyle Hendricks. Rotation after that is pretty dull. They brought in Wade Miley, who's not even going to start with the team right now because he's still a little hurt. The Wilson Contreras conundrum will be a thing all season long. He will likely not be there by the end of the season. I'm just bracing myself for that. At this point, I think I'm numb to the idea of them trading Wilson Contreras just because they traded everybody else. So like, why not? But yes, I'm not expecting the Cubs to compete this year, but I won't be surprised if they do. I do think there is enough there, but a lot of it's unproven. A lot of it's Frank Schwindel and Patrick Wisdom, two guys that have been jumped around minor league teams and all of a sudden last year decided to burst out. Can they replicate that? I don't know. Jason Hayward, does he still belong on the Cubs active roster? I don't know. There are several people out there that say the answer to that question is a resounding no. The pitching rotation, as I said, outside of the top two is pretty bleak. A lot of questions, but we'll just have to see. I'm not expecting much. It's a weaker division, so who knows? How about
Fangraphs projected go-to lineup for the Cubs. Rafael Ortega is the DH. Nick Madrigal, second base. Wilson Contreras, catcher. Ian Happ, left. Frank Swindell, first. Seiya Suzuki, right. Jason Hayward, center. Patrick Wisdom, third. Nico Horner, short. Jan Gomes on the bench. Jonathan Villar on the bench. Michael Hermosillo on the bench. And Clint Frazier on the bench. How long before he takes over Jason Hayward's spot?
Well, they don't really have a center fielder.
No, they don't.
They don't. Ortega played it a little bit last year. And Ortega's really only there because he did hit righties, I think, pretty well. No, their center fielder is Brennan Davis, who will be in AAA at least for probably the first half of this season.
This says Anderson Simmons is hurt. Is that right?
Yes, correct. He is.
Okay.
He's a little beat up. I don't think he'll be on the IL for long.
Yeah.
But I think he is going to start the season, which is the concern right now because there's not really a great backup at shortstop behind Nico right now. Jonathan VR is the Cubs' backup shortstop until Anderson Simmons is healthy, which will hopefully not be longer than like 10 days. But
David Bodie also hurt shoulder surgery in November. Is he out for the year? Is he out for a while?
Yeah.
So he's on the 60-day. Pitching rotation: Hendricks, Steele, Stroman, Smiley, and Mills is the projection.
Correct.
With Wick, David Robertson, Michael Givens as a rotating closer. Does that sound right?
Sure. Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, that's what Fangraphs has.
No, yes, that's
Fangraphs
likely.
has.
There's not a dominant reliever there, so yeah.
All right.
It's rough. It's rough.
They're projecting Wisdom to hit 30 home runs, but bat 218.
Strike out 300 times.
Yeah. All right. I told you before we started recording when we were talking about this kind of stuff, and you had your jersey on, so I threw mine on. I think they're going to be better than people expect them to. But I always think that. I thought that last year, and they really weren't. And that's when they still had Bryant and Rizzo and Baez. So I always think they're going to be better than they turn out to be. So we'll see what happens. I think they'll probably finish third in the division, but I think they'll be closer to 500 than people think. think they're going to be. So, anything else with the Cubs? Who do you guys open with? What's your first series?
To be honest, Craig, I
don't even
know. I legitimately don't even know. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
The Cardinals, it comes down to pitching. So we'll start there with them. Projected rotation of
the Brewers. Duh.
Oh, okay.
Brewers.
Cardinals projected rotation. Jack Flaherty at the top, who is dealing with some shoulder stuff right now, so he is starting the season on the IL. But you got Wainwright, Michaelis, Steven Matz, offseason signing, and Dakota Hudson. So when those 5 are available, that's a pretty decent 5 rotation, but there's just no depth. Yeah. Drew Verhagen is expected to be the 5th starter. You got Jake Woodford, who has started some games. Cody Whitley has started some games, and I think Ryan Helsley can start games if he needs to, but he can't go more than 4 or 5 innings. Gallegos as your closer again. Jordan Hicks is expected to be back this year, but there's just not much starting depth. So if injuries happen, which they happen to Michaelis all the time, Steven Matz, I feel like he's got some injury history, if I'm correct, if I'm remembering right. And then Adam Wainwright's 41 years old. So how long could he keep going? So that's what it comes down to for the Cardinals. Honestly, I don't want to say I love the starting lineup. The DH helps, obviously, but I don't hate it whatsoever. This has Carlson leading off, playing right, Goldschmidt at first, O'Neill in left, batting third, Arenado cleanup at third base, Pujols batting DH, which he'll probably do 4 times a week, maybe. DeYoung is the big question mark at short. He hit like 210 last year. You got to get something from him. If not, Edmundo Sosa has to come up and pick up where DeYoung can't. Then you got Yachty at catcher, Bader at center, and Edmund at second base. So I like that 9 other than DeYoung. I really wish they would have been able to pull a shortstop, but I don't think they were ever going to pay what Story or Correa or Seager or any of those guys got. So right out with DeYoung until someone can pick up the slack, because that's kind of the only hole that you got in that starting 9. So
better than the Cubs.
Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah.
Although I'm not sure that I would take Paul DeYoung. So
no, don't want Paul. I'd rather have Madrigal or Horner than DeYoung. DeYoung had a couple of good years, but I don't think he's a long-term solution. He's going to be 29 pretty soon. So another thing is you're not going to get 160 games out of Yachty like you normally do. So Andrew Kisner is the backup. He's going to have to play probably 60 games this year, which would be, I'm assuming, a career high for him. So he's going to have to pick up some slack. But yeah, I'm optimistic with the expanded playoffs. I think the Cardinals could definitely sneak into a playoff spot. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Let's see here. Is this last year's projection? Is this last year's standings? Can you look up last year's standings real quick to see if this is last year's standings or this year's projections? What Fangraphs has here. Great content.
Last year's standings, National League. What do you want to know?
Who won the Central and what was their record?
Brewers 95 and 67.
Cardinals were second.
90 and 72.
Okay, so this is last year's standings. This isn't a projection for this year. All right. So there's our 2 teams. Do you want to just quickly, who do you think is going to win the 3 divisions in the NL? Let's start with AL. Who's going to win the 3 divisions in the AL?
The Rams face the Bengals.
Siri was just telling me who won the Super Bowl.
I'm going to take the Blue Jays, White Sox, and
do it.
Did it last year, and I was so wrong.
You did it last year.
Mariners.
Oh, okay.
Mariners.
Okay, I don't hate that.
I don't really think that's happening. But they just got a lot of young talent there, and if it doesn't happen this year, it's happening soon. I would love to see it be the Astros or the Angels. I mean, the Astros is who it's likely going to be, just because they've owned that division and they will continue to own that division.
Yeah.
It shocks me how bad the Rangers are still, despite spending an ungodly amount of money on 2 players this offseason, and they're still terrible. But for the fun of it, I'm going to take the Mariners.
Okay. I am going to take. I'm going to take the Yankees, the White Sox, and the Astros.
Okay.
I'm trying to vary it up here. I do think the Blue Jays will make the playoffs. I do think. Well, I don't know who else, but
how many teams make the playoffs now?
I don't know. I don't know. I think 7. I don't know, but I'm taking Yankees, White Sox, and Astros. You've got Blue Jays, White Sox, and Mariners. All right. What about the NL?
That East, man. That East is tough.
Yeah. 3 pretty good teams there.
I'll take the Mets. I think they got the most talent, but they're also the most injury prone, probably.
They are.
They're already going to be without Jacob deGrom for several weeks, but they didn't sign Max Scherzer. So I will take the Mets. I will take the Brewers, and I will take the Dodgers. That's pretty chalky. I don't think the Giants replicate what they did last year. The Padres could and should be in contention for that, but it's still the Dodgers. So I will go Mets, Brewers, Dodgers.
Okay. I will go. Ah, man, their pitching scares me. Oh, I want to pick the Phillies, but I don't think I can name you any of their starting pitchers other than Zach Wheeler. I don't know who their number 2 starter is.
Aaron Nola.
I guess Aaron Nola would be 1. Zach Wheeler would be 2. That's a good point. I'm going to go with the Braves, though. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Braves to win the East.
Fair.
Do I think it's going to happen? No, but I'm going to take the Cardinals just because you took the Brewers, so I'll take my Cardinals. And I got to take the Dodgers because they win the West every year, but then what do they do in the playoffs? Like, I feel like they're not going to win the whole thing, but I think they're going to run through the West. So I'll take the Braves, Cardinals, and Dodgers. What's your World Series now? We'll just do that. We won't do like the full playoffs like we did last year.
Blue Jays, Dodgers. Blue Jays over Dodgers. World Series.
Okay. I'm leaning towards picking what I picked last year. Do you remember what I picked last year?
No. White Sox, Braves, White Sox, something.
I picked Blue Jays, Padres last year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I might have been a year too early. So I'm going to rock with it again and see if so we're both on the Blue Jays. How does that make you feel that we agree on this?
I mean,
we had the same Super Bowl pick too.
I mean, I think they're the best team in the American League. Will it end up that way? I don't know. I mean, there's several other teams that could contend. I think the White Sox could contend. I think the Astros can. I think the Blue Jays, if they stumble enough, may not even make it to the playoffs because there's too many good teams in that division. But I think on paper, at least to start the season, they're the best team in the American League. So
I looked up the Athletic. I looked up the predictions for the 2022 season from the Athletic. 48.5% of people who they polled voted for the Dodgers to win the World Series. Blue Jays second at 39.4. Then the White Sox, 6.1. Then the Padres at 3. There was a tie at 3%. Do you want to guess who the 5th team on there was at 3%? Tied with the Padres on votes to win the World Series.
Who are the others?
Dodgers, Blue Jays, White Sox, Padres were 1 through 4, and someone tied with the Padres at 3% of people said this team would win the World Series. It is someone that one of us picked to win a division.
Mets.
Nope.
Really?
Other league. No,
I don't know.
The Angels. No, you
Oh.
didn't pick them. Sorry,
didn't pick
you
them.
picked them last year.
Yeah.
You picked them last year. I screwed that up. 3%
I was going to
of
say
votes.
that. I was going to say that.
Yeah, 3%
Okay.
of votes said the Angels.
The Ohtani
I guess.
factor.
Yeah. Do you want to? Who's an MVP candidate for each league, or who do you think might show out this year? Favorites on here are Vlad Jr. to win AL MVP, Soto to win NL MVP. More than 50% of people said Soto will win the NL MVP. Nothing else really surprising with the Cy Young.
I'll go with Vlad Jr. and
I got mine. I'll give you mine. I'm going Luis Robert and Trey Turner for the MVPs.
you're going Robert for MVP, huh?
Well, can I have a either or? Can I get two here?
Sure.
Yordan Alvarez too for
Okay.
Houston.
Okay. I'll go Vlad Jr. and Pete Alonso.
Okay.
Pete Alonso might drive in 300 runs this year.
Yeah. Okay. I love it.
We'll go with that.
And then we touched on it quickly, and I don't know that there's a lot more to say. Bobby Witt is the favorite for AL Rookie of the Year. And your boy, Seiya Suzuki, is the favorite for National League Rookie of the Year. He's plus 300. O'Neal Cruz, who you touched on being kind of impacted by manipulated by the service time rules, is plus 400. Keibert Ruiz is plus 650. And then a guy that I was hoping would start the year in the minors, but they are calling him up, Hunter Green. I was hoping that he would be sent to AAA for a couple starts so I could see him throw here in Louisville for the bats, but he is in Cincinnati. He is at plus 750. Bobby Witt is also plus 300 for the Royals. So there's the Rookie of the Years. Anything else, baseball? You excited?
I'm very excited.
Yeah, very
Love
excited.
Baseball. Glad it's here. Bring on summertime.
There's one other thing here. Where is it? Well, anyways, moving on. It is also Masters Week. Jim Nance is living my dream, starting from Friday of last week through Sunday of next week. Three Final Four games, the semifinals and the championship, and then driving to Augusta to call the Masters. And let's not bury the lead here. Tiger Woods said today that he expects to play. This guy right here. He expects to play. The decision will come tomorrow after, I think he said he's going to play 9 more holes tomorrow and then make the decision. But he is on the tee sheet. He is expected to tee off at 10:34 on Thursday of the Masters. And whoo, what a comeback. I think 14 months. Was it in February? I feel like it was February of 2021 or something.
Yeah, it was 14 months.
That he got in the accident where I think he snapped his leg. And I pretty sure I heard that he could have died in this accident, right. But he is back playing golf. He's been there for a couple of days, doing practice rounds. He said he played the par 3 course with his son, Charlie. So he's back. Will he be what he was? I doubt it after what he went through, but Tiger is playing. It's the best golf tournament on the face of the earth. And I know 80% of our viewers probably think golf is the most boring sport ever, but I promise you, if you watch the Masters, it will blow you away. And I'm going to sound nerdy here, but just the color of everything there. The grass is like the perfect shade of green. The flowers are all in bloom, and there's pink and reds and the pine needles from the trees falling. It's just gorgeous. So just tune in for a little bit. Just watch a little bit Thursday through Sunday. And just seeing the grounds will be spectacular. Do you watch the Masters? Do you watch Sunday afternoon just to see the end? Do you even care? What's your master?
I don't usually watch before Sunday.
I think that's
I'll
most
turn
of the
on.
country.
I'll turn on Sunday if there's a storyline that I want to watch.
Yeah.
If Tiger's in the mix, obviously I don't expect him to be this year, but yeah, I mean, more often than not, I at least turn on and watch on Sunday for a while. But I'm not going to watch all weekend. But yeah, I definitely enjoy it. I enjoy. There's just something about this time of year and the Masters and bringing in summertime, and it all goes together for me. So yeah, I enjoy turning it on for a little bit on Sunday. Obviously I don't follow it as much as you and as much as some people. But I definitely enjoy it for sure.
There is an Illini in the field this year. Thomas Peters is, I think, ranked 35th in the world. And so he has qualified. Let me check here. Yeah, I think he's 33 in the world. So he has qualified. So he will be in the field. Don't know what time he exactly tees off, but the favorites are John Rahm at plus 1,100, Justin Thomas plus 1,200, Cameron Smith plus 14, Dustin Johnson plus 1,600, along with Scotty Scheffler. Jordan Spieth is a name that everyone knows. He's plus 1,800. Rory's plus 1,800. Brooks Koepka plus 2,000. And then Bryson DeChambeau, who is very polarizing. He is plus 4,000, as well as the defending champ Hideki Matsuyama plus 4,000. So our run your pool that we do, I got my picks ready, and we've talked about 4 of the guys on my roster. There are 2 guys that I'm not going to discuss because I don't want people to steal my team here, but I do have Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka, Jordan Spieth, and Tiger, just because Tiger's cheap. So I just need him to make the cut. And we'll be fine. So I'm excited. I think my pick to win would probably be either Justin Thomas or Patrick Cantlay. Those are my 2 guys that I think might win. Thomas is one of the best golfers in the world, and he does not have a Masters yet. He's got a couple majors, but no Masters. So I'm going to go with JT, and Cantlay's, he missed the cut last year, I think. So he's going to have some motivation, I think. And he's playing pretty good. So you want to make a pick, or you're going to leave that to me?
I'm going to leave that to you. You're the expert.
All right.
You're the expert.
Tees off Thursday morning. I think the ceremonial tee shots from Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player are at like 7:30 in the morning. So 4 long days of golf, and I couldn't be more excited. One NFL note that we have on here, Bruce Arians no longer coaching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is going to a front office role, and he has handed the keys over to Todd Bowles. What did you read into that?
Wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked. I think that was, I don't know what was going on in Tampa, but I think it's very telling that just a couple weeks after Tom Brady announces that he's coming back, that Bruce Arians decides that he's done. Yeah. What does that mean? I don't know specifically, but it kind of tells me that there was something going on there, that Tom Brady did not want Bruce Arians to be his coach or something along those lines. And as we know, especially in this era, players of that stature have a lot of control.
What Tommy wants, Tommy gets.
What Tommy wants, yeah, exactly. Just like LeBron.
Yep.
So yeah,
I saw a report that Frank Vogel will not be back for the Lakers next year. You
don't survive a LeBron coaching experience. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard people talk about what their theories are about what was happening in Tampa, his experience in Tampa compared to his experience in New England with Belichick. So I don't know. But it's pretty telling to me that there was something there that Tom didn't like. And Tom said, if I'm going to come back and play, I want to play for somebody else. And that's what they did. So,
yep.
It's crazy that that's how this world works, that the guy at the top, the coach, is not as powerful as the players playing for him. But this is how this industry works sometimes. So
that's what happens when the coach makes a fourth of what the players make in salary.
Yeah,
the players run the show. Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. I think I tweeted, well, what I tweeted didn't make sense because I tweeted Brady to the Dolphins confirmed, but that would have happened had they not moved Arians instead of Arians moving. But wouldn't that be something? Tom getting traded to Miami, play with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. That'd be, I didn't read too much into it. It's whatever for me. Todd Bowles didn't have a great run with the Jets, but I don't know. They probably made the defensive coordinator the head coach because it's Tom's offense. So whoever is the offensive coordinator, they really don't do anything. Byron Leftwich, who is younger than Tom Brady. So yeah. Anything else football or sports related?
No, but you did ask me earlier before we even started the show if we were missing anything else basketball, and we didn't mention Thad Matta.
Oh, yeah. Good call. Thad Matta back at Butler.
Back to Butler. The Pride of Hoopston.
Pride of
Hoopston, Illinois.
You probably know this, and I had forgotten. I did know this. Do you know where he started his college career before he went to Butler?
Southern.
SIU boy.
Yeah.
He's an SIU guy. Yeah. Played 2 years at Southern before he transferred to Butler and played there. So, yeah, Thad Matta back in college basketball. Good call. I forgot about that.
Good for Thad. Good for Butler. The whole situation with the firing and when it happened and the buyout, like, it was messy. I don't approve. I don't support those decisions, but I mean,
they fired him.
Yeah.
Who are you talking about?
They fired Laval Jordan.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought you were talking about Ohio State.
Not with that. No,
okay.
Well, that whole thing was a mess too, because I think there was I don't know what was going on there, but the whole thing with Butler firing their coach,
the day his buyout dropped
and all that stuff. Yeah. Like, that was kind of messy. But they got that amount out of the thing. I just thought it was funny because I read some things that people were talking about who they're going to bring in to replace to be the next coach, and it was basically saying, is it going to be a Brad Stevens guy or a Thad Matta guy? Well, they just went and got that. They can't get Brad; he's not coming, so they got that. So
guess how old Thad Matta is?
Not that old, like 54 or something.
54. He's younger than Brad Underwood.
Yeah, he's not that old. He seems like it because he was in the game. He's been out of the game for so long. He was in it for a long time. Yeah. But yeah, he's not that old.
He left Ohio State in 2017. Wow. I didn't realize it had been that long. Wow. Yeah, he left Ohio State in 2017. He is back at Butler, where he spent 4 seasons as an assistant and 1 as a head coach before going to Xavier. So, yeah, good for them. I think it was the Field of 68 guy. I think it was Rob Doster. Someone tweeted, the Big East had, Seton Hall went and got Shaheen Holloway. Butler went and got Thad Matta. Xavier went and got Sean Miller. Mm-hmm. And Georgetown stuck with Patrick Ewing. So there's that. But I think Patrick Ewing's buyout is massive.
Probably.
All right. Moving on to our entertainment section of the show. Logan watched a superhero movie. Is it a superhero movie? A comic?
I mean, yeah.
Movie.
Yeah.
And it's one that I have no desire to see. I've seen trailers of it. And it's one of those that I'm like, you don't just make a movie to make a movie about some comic book character. Not all of them need movies. And Logan's thoughts echo my sentiment. So why don't you get into it, Logan?
Morbius. Morbius is bad. Morbius is a Marvel property that is part of the Spider-Man universe. So Sony has the rights to it. Sony needs to give up the Marvel properties. I understand that people want something other than just the MCU. They like having variety. The MCU, Sony will do things that the MCU won't. I understand those things, but Craig, Sony hasn't made a good Marvel movie, live action Marvel movie on their own since 2004.
Which was
Spider-Man 2. Now,
That's what I thought.
the Amazing Spider-Man movies have their fans. Venom has its fans. I enjoyed the first Venom movie. I don't think it was good, but I enjoyed it. I didn't hate Morbius, but it wasn't good. They haven't made one on their own without the help of without the help of Disney since 2004. And they continue to do this. They just make stupid choices. The director, even before the movie came out, was already tweeting about things about the movie, spoilers about the movie. I won't spoil anything for anybody that wants to go see it, but the post-credit scenes are just absolutely, it makes no sense. If you watched Spider-Man No Way Home, the continuity with this movie does not add up. So we'll just stop it there.
Is Spider-Man in this?
No, but he's a part of the this is the Spider-Man.
Right.
No,
I didn't know
Spider-Man,
if Tom Holland or Andrew Garfield or someone showed up.
No, there is no Spider-Man in this movie. But I will say that what inevitably is going to happen, they are building this universe of Spider-Man villains. We've already had the Venom movie. Now we have the Morbius. Yeah. Who knows what else they'll do. I'm worried that this is where they're going to drag Andrew Garfield back into this, and he's going to have to be the Spider-Man for these movies. And he just deserves better than that. And that's the other thing too. With all these movies, I've bashed on these Venom and Morbius and Spider-Man. The actors in these movies aren't the problem. Tom Hardy was the best part of Venom. Andrew Garfield was the best part of Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man. Jared Leto, there wasn't really a good part of Morbius, but Jared Leto wasn't the problem with Morbius. It's the other decisions that are happening around them. So I just hate the fact that this is inevitably what's going to happen, is that Andrew Garfield is going to be roped into these movies and he's going to be the Spider-Man for this universe that they're creating. I hate it. I wish they would give it up. I understand that people want the variety, and I get that there's a reason for that. But Sony just hasn't done it right. And Morbius is bad. If you want to go see it, that's fine. I didn't hate it. I still enjoyed myself. It's a short movie. It's like an hour and 40 minutes or something. It's a pretty quick pace thing. It's just not very good. So
I've always thought this. Do you think that Jared Leto actually thought this was going to be good when he took this role? How does that happen? Because you talked about him getting nominated for a award for the House of Gucci. So he's not a bad actor.
No.
How do these big names get dragged into these movies that just on the surface seem like bad movies?
I don't know. There's a good pitch somewhere. Maybe people just see it's a Marvel movie and they think the Marvel movies all are good recently. I don't know. This movie has been in the works for a while. It was originally supposed to come out 2020. And it's had delays for the pandemic and delays for reshoots. And it was just destined to fail. This is now the second superhero movie that Jared Leto has been a part of that has not done very well and that wasn't very good.
Yep.
He was in the Suicide Squad, which personally, the first I don't hate the first Suicide Squad. I enjoyed it. It wasn't great. I think the second Suicide Squad was better.
I think I like the first one better.
No, that's fair. I don't think I enjoyed the first one. But I don't think he was the problem. There was decisions that was made around him and about him that was the problem. But I don't know. Why do they keep making these? Because they make money. This one will make a bunch of money. Venom, both of those movies made a bunch of money. They will continue to make a bunch of money. I just wish Sony would give it up and let Disney have the Spider-Man properties, or somebody else. If there was another studio that wanted to do them, but Sony have not, other than the animated Spider-Verse movie, which we're getting a sequel for this year. I have not been a fan of, really thought that any of them have been good other than that they've done on their own since Spider-Man 2. So it's not good. If you want to go see it, great. As I said, it's a very quick movie, but it's not good. So there you go.
I can't say that I'm surprised.
No,
can't say. I forgot what movie we were at in theaters. It had to have been
Spider-Man.
It had to have been the last one.
Yeah,
it was in the trailers, and that's not the first time I had seen it. Actually, no, that might have been the first time. And then I saw commercials when I got home and all that stuff. And I was just like, this just looks bad. Like, that trailer does not make me want to go see that movie.
Yeah.
So
it was just, the whole thing is just weird. Like, there are a lot of things that just don't get answered. It was just dumb. It was just bad. But.
I did see, I actually looked it up because I want to see the Batman, like, really bad. But it's been out for a while. And so I was like, when's it going to stream? And it's supposed to start streaming in like 2 weeks.
Oh, is it really? It'll be on HBO Max at some point.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to wait for that, because then I'm at the comfort of my couch.
45-day window.
45 days. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can watch a 3-hour movie on the comfort of my couch instead of in a theater, and I can pause it and stuff to go to the bathroom, because everyone, I'm sure, took a bathroom.
It's a really good movie.
So
the Batman,
all right,
not Morbius.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all we got on our rundown. It is all we have on our rundown. Is there anything else that you would like to touch on at the Logan Lee?
Just happy to be here. Happy it's baseball season. Sorry we went an hour and 45 minutes again.
I don't think it's gonna be that long. I think that
I don't do better next time.
I think the timer starts when the call starts, not when I start recording. So I don't think it's gonna be that long.
I don't even know what the timer says. I'm just guessing.
It does say an hour 47 right now. We've been on the call, but I don't think the episode will not be that long. But that's all we have today. We will be back next week. I'm assuming Monday. I guess we haven't really talked about it yet, but we'll be back next week with another episode of No One Asked Us. Thanks for listening. As always, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Also, follow us on all our social media channels. We would really appreciate it if you do that and continue to grow our numbers. For Logan Lee, I am Craig Coyote. We will see you next week.